Welcome to the Big Announcement Coming Soon podcast. I'm Michael Bull, joined today by the usual group of geniuses, I think is one way to put it. Jeff Renson, Nick Garvin, and David Collette. Gentlemen, nice to...
I thought you were going to say something much more truthful, but yeah, we're on air, so let's go with geniuses.
I need to come up
with
something.
Go with degenerates would be fine.
With the degenerate David. I think I got the alliteration there, so that helps.
A nice ring to it.
Yeah, we'll have to think of something for the J for Jeff and N for Nick, and we'll just skip me.
J for
Marvelous.
genius.
Yeah. Yeah. A J for genius.
There it is.
That just said everything there. And because J for genius is taking the week off from the news, we're going to go to Nick Garvin, who is going to talk to us, no surprise, about NFTs.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. We're just going to do a quick recap of what's going on. As of now, as of recording time, it's a meme card drop day. So this, I believe, is meme card 42 or 43 by Punk6529 now. They're really picking up steam. We talked about this in the past. Tonight's collaboration artist is Rob Ness, who's been, I don't know if anyone heard, but recently in a battle with OpenSea about the toter trash, I think the DCA, stuff like that, and the law behind being sued and being removed from OpenSea. So
wait, is the toter trash the trash can one that's literally like the JPEG of the actual trash can that we all picture, the big round green one? And the company that makes him sued him like 6 months ago, right?
Wait, there's more than one? Damn, I could have the whole collection of trash cans.
The trash can company got mad about the picture of the trash can that had a face on it. Like, have we made it? Trash can companies are coming here. They think there's money to extract from artists.
Wow.
Bear market stuff. But yeah, I mean, we fought for the toters so they'd be represented. And anyways, you can look into that. We can drop a thread below, but I've written about it in the past.
About trash cans.
Yeah. Toter art, trash art. And you know, what's also cool about tonight's meme drop is it's another crossover between the Rare Pepes. Rob Ness has done Rare Pepes in the past, and now this will be his debut with Punk6529. So you have that going on tonight, and again another meme drop on Friday. And then I think really some notable news about Wreck Guy. Seemed like they had a nice little pump after Art Basel, about 35% now from the floor last week. And again, it's a very strong community. And I don't know if anyone followed Art Basel over the weekend, but there was a lot of cool meetups. And the rec community always has a really good time in real life. So it seems to do well when they have meetups.
When you say Wreck Guy, I know there's the kind of the neon with the bottle Wreck Guy that I'm picturing, that I'll throw up the screen here. But is it a PFP? What's the rest of the Wreck Guy project?
It is a PFP. It's by the artist OSF. He's done other things like Rec Cities and a couple other one-of-ones and side projects. He's done also Rare Pepes. But yeah, no, it's a PFP. It was dropped for free in the middle of the bear market.
What is a PFP, even if it was dropped for free in the middle of a bear market?
Profile picture.
Profile picture.
So when we talk about bored apes and all these things,
PFP.
It's those cartoon ones that you keep asking us about with the apes and other things, that all these different collections. So this guy has one where, yeah, I was familiar with his one-of-one art. I'd seen a few of those because when the Wreck Guy PFP dropped, like you recognize this style, and then I was like, I don't know who this is, but I've seen, like, this keeps hitting my timeline over the last couple months.
Yeah, many people consider it a bear market pop. Right, so it's one of those badge of honors. I was there, claimed the free Wreck Guy. But anyways, that's doing really well. Aside from that, though, just watch this space because the meme card drop finishes on December 19th, so right around the corner. And we'll update you soon. But that's it for the week. We'll be back and talk a little bit more about some hardware wallets and whatnot. But yeah.
Now, Nick, I had a question. You said you wrote about garbage cans. Is that correct?
I did. We had a little article.
Well, is it one of these things like you're just sitting there, you're looking out the window? Now you're in Thailand, not the U.S., so it's kind of a different landscape. But like, I can look out the window on Monday because that's trash collection day, and see trash cans. So is it like I would be inspired then to write about it? Is like that how it works?
I mean, like I did think about toters around the world and like how we could all do that and submit next week our own trash cans, and then boom, we have a collection.
Now, so eventually we'll want to submit our TC trash can with our PFP next to it so people can identify who we are.
But just be careful because again, like I said, like they're coming after people. They made Rob Ness take it after OpenSea, so be careful what
make sure you own the IP to your trash can.
That's right. Very
Right,
popular.
right.
Because when you
Fair
purchase
use
a trash can,
cans.
a physical trash can, you own the physical plastic piece, but you don't own the IP to your trash can,
Can you
unlike the
subscribe to
TOS
that?
on your NFT.
Can you subscribe to that maybe?
Absolutely.
IP
I'm
for your
sure there's
trash can?
trash.
You know,
Yeah,
because
they
I pay a
drop off a new
monthly
trash can
service
every
charge.
month.
I wonder for an extra $5, yeah, if I could say I get rights to use it.
Yeah, it's actually like, yeah, I love the message behind it, to be honest. This is kind of basically like how ridiculous. I took a picture of a trash can and I'm making money. I'm actually helping contribute to the economy and
Yeah,
people
no
are
one knew about that
engaging in
brand.
culture. And actually promoting your brand in a way. And you're just coming after me for money because you can by the law. And so what I love about crypto and especially in NIF projects and stuff like that, like this, it's really kind of like making, because otherwise it wouldn't be news, right? If it wasn't a trash can, if it was just like some
Right.
guy's picture or something.
Like
So
a
this
squirrel.
actually,
Yeah.
like crypto can take like the most, yeah, like serious issue of what is ownership and like why, what is like the society we live in about this,
Yes.
and then apply this like very hilarious thing on top of it to make this trash can company engage in a fight about the picture of their trash can. And in the end, hopefully, they will see and the world will see that this kind of competitive attitude about like who owns what and oh my gosh, like you maybe made some money, so therefore you're bad, and you know that's the wrong way of looking at it. Like we have to look at it much more in terms of wow, that's really cool what you did. I mean, YouTube remixes is kind of an example of YouTube coming to terms with this as well, right? I mean, how could they go after everyone who remixes songs and things?
Well, but everything's licensed, right? As well. It's just the
Yeah, exactly.
music.
So
it wasn't so much YouTube said, okay, this is cool. They just got
But
license agreements with the music
but
companies. And
but if
said,
you look at
okay.
it, that people are spending like $500 after a $3,000 NFT they had to burn to be allowed to buy shoes for other NFT projects. If the Totem, the actual trash brand company, had said we endorse this thing and done nothing else, how many DJs would have gone out and bought their stupid trash can just to then take a picture next to it, then go NFT or Web3 me IRL me? They would have sold 10,000 trash cans extra just as a joke,
That's
and
the
all they had to tweet
biggest.
out was "cool, bro."
Yeah, that's the biggest bot right there. We see so many failed companies try to enter NFT world, right? Then
Or fight it, yeah.
and Web3, and then they all fail or have a cringy transition. And then here's one that literally served on a silver platter. It's a trash can, and they're just like, no, 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 take that down. And they instead become like the villain.
They could have become a trendy trash can. Like, there's no marketing play to become that. This is all natural, and they lost it.
Yeah,
it represents the underlying culture, I think, of our world. I mean, it's I'll talk about it in tokenomics in a little bit. Yeah, well, it's the trash
actually,
idea
David, actually, why don't you go to that now? Tell us about trash cans and tokenomics. You're up next, anyways, on the list.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
Maybe I will then.
Go for it.
And then, but Nick, when you finished it, you finish your...
Yeah, absolutely. Like, watch the space. I'm gonna try to get for the drop tonight, and I'll let you know if I pick up some trash in the meantime.
All right, the good segue about trash cans and David. I'm sorry.
Yeah, totally.
That didn't quite come out right.
I have several trash cans, one in each room, and they are now going to be not totem for sure. I'm going to make sure of that. But
somebody took profits last bull market.
Several trash cans. Wow.
Yeah, it's true. So yeah, I mean, essentially, yeah, my chat today is essentially kind of like I want to kind of essentially do kind of like a weekly behind the scenes as a co-founder of a crypto project. Check it out. This is what we're doing this week. So this week's I just want to talk about tokenomics, and it kind of like comes really like it fits really well with what we were just talking about. And essentially,
hold on, David. For anybody that missed last week, can you give us a 30-second on you're the founder of what tokenomics?
Right, of course.
Yeah, so your elevator pitch.
Yeah, I'm one of the co-founders of Sakai Labs. Sakai Labs is new. We're starting a company, and we are launching our the whole project, tokens, etc., sometime towards the middle of next year. And essentially what we have is we're doing the opposite approach to most tech company or crypto companies, where they publish a white paper and say what tech they're going to build and then raise money for the build. We already have the technology. Sakai Labs is using Sakai Limited's technology on a perpetual license to develop a metaverse where you can literally come in and build stuff and hopefully sell it to industry, let people subscribe to it. So a real use case from real business, now looking to bring metaverse into it. And that's actually a good segue for what we're talking about today, which is tokenomics. A lot of people think about tokenomics from the perspective of, okay, it's just a token that's kind of the thing that represents that coin or that project or whatever. And we've seen a lot of messing around with tokenomics over the last many years in different formats and different things. And inevitably, a lot of this is going to be about longevity of projects, like how long do their tokenomics last and work and things like that. So, I mean, if you look at something like MakerDAO, for example, MakerDAO is a great project. Makes DAI, has a huge like role to play in DeFi. But the way MakerDAO's tokenomics and token drop happened and everything were just really bad. And so they have a huge hang of oversupply of Maker token in the hands of early investors, with very little being owned by people in the community. And
Also,
so those
with
people.
Maker, so Maker's the token you hold as a governance token. It allows you to take ETH at 150% to your dollars and collateralize it and get DAI, which is a dollar stablecoin out. So you can essentially
Exactly.
lock up your ETH, take dollar stablecoins and go trade. But what
So this is
right, the
this is
governance,
the
the
broken
Maker
part.
token is the part that they launched, because DAI isn't really like, it's a
Yeah,
useful thing. Maker is their token, and that's not one we think about. When you say
exactly.
MakerDAO, I think DAI.
So, Professor David, tell us what is broken.
So yeah, exactly. What was broken is essentially they took a Web 2 perspective on their tokenomics and put it into a Web 3 scenario. And by what I mean by that is, like, most companies, like a bank or something like that, would say, okay, we need to get this much off interest off of our customers per month to survive as a bank. I mean, that's how you survive, right? Fees and loan origination and all that stuff. So they took that model and they put it into MakerDAO. And the problem is that they didn't really work their tokenomics out such that the MakerDAO must, essentially with their current tokenomics, the MakerDAO must succeed. The DAI token must become essentially the center of everything, taking over USDC, taking over to generate enough interest payments on generating DAI to have enough people coming through the door to actually use this product. The problem is, before all those people could start coming through the door to use this product, you had all the people at the beginning just relentlessly dumping their tokens on them. So anyone who comes into MakerDAO as of like a year ago just got obliterated, and just continues to get obliterated because of the way the tokenomics work. And so even though the project is solid, even though the idea is solid, the way that they tried to incentivize it was built for a bank or a Web 2 type scenario. But it's trying to compete in a world where, oh, well, why would I mint DAI for 150 collateral when I can just use USDC, right? So
Also,
they kind of assumed
quick question.
they would have market penetration in ways that they wouldn't, and they had their whole tokenomics dependent on winning. And if they didn't, and so it basically.
But isn't every tokenomic depending on winning?
And that's the next point.
Well,
Yes.
and with
For
their
what?
tokenomics, couldn't they write a smart contract that wraps ETH at 150 collateral, 150% collateral, distributes DAI, and the smart contract can liquidate you if the collateral is down?
Yeah.
Do you need governance? Do you need Maker? What's
And this is the next
changing in their
problem.
system? Like, governance needs a
Because
system to update, or what are they governing?
yeah, and the problem is that the governance is so centralized that even if they want to make changes that are positive to the platform, that will hurt the early investors. They can't do it because the investors won't vote for that. And so they're kind of locked in a death spiral where it's like, milk the protocol for money or lose money to save the protocol. So it's kind of, and you see stuff like that happened in Curve for a while, and then they changed their tokenomics, and then you see the Curve chart come back up and things like that.
All right, we're getting pretty weedy here, and
Yeah. So coming back to your main point, which is, coming back to your really main point, don't you want your tokenomics to win, right?
Yes, always.
Exactly. And that's the key, right? And so
I want my baseball team to win too. So tell me how this is different.
Moneyball, baby.
Yeah.
So that's exactly. Have you watched Moneyball?
I watched your Reddit and heard a few interviews by Michael.
Okay, so this is actually a really good example. In Moneyball, like basically what the Athletics in Oakland did.
Oakland, yeah. Yeah, pretty good for a non-American. I'm impressed. He did one.
Yeah,
better.
You got to do the research. Anyway, so the Oakland A's, they have no money. They had very little money to compete with New York Yankees and stuff like that. And the New York Yankees and everyone else was still using a Web 2 way of looking at baseball, where they were like, oh, who's our big star that can bring in the big money and hit the home runs? And they didn't actually look at how the mechanics of the team would work together to actually win games mathematically. So this is what Oakland A's did. They brought in a math nerd kind of guy. That's kind of where Nate Silver from Politics comes from, kind of a similar vein. And he looked at econometrically, essentially, at all the stats of the players. Right. And apparently you can put together a team for really cheap with players that will work together stats-wise that can win games.
Only because nobody knew that. I mean,
exactly.
So cheap, right?
And now it's totally different. But that was the case. And so the tokenomics are the same. if you apply the idea that you can just come in and just print a whole bunch of tokens and then hopefully we win, and if you don't, oh no, you're essentially sacrificing your project to the future, because your project, even though it might be a good project, is going to get obliterated by your tokenomics. It's like,
so you're trying to say don't finance your business through tokens?
No, I'm saying what the tokens need to do is have clear utility and clear governance purposes. And so what you do in your
just finance it using a better token.
No, I am getting to it. You keep interrupting.
Oh, sorry.
What you do,
I am interrupting, but I'll stop.
Just like any economy, you can't just throw a bunch of tokens into the economy and just like think it's going to work. You have to look at the economy. So in Sakai's case, for example, we're looking at building digital twins and having people in the metaverse subscribe to those digital twins, etc. So there are real use cases of this in B2B that are happening now. So we can look at, what do companies pay for these digital twins on a regular basis? What is the market? And then what is our niche disruption of that market? As a result, what is the likely outcome of how much money can be made over time? How much tokens need to be generated in order to actually fit that scenario? What do stakers need to validate blocks and keep tokens for governance? What do people on the utility side need? How do you make sure your liquidity doesn't just drain away? So many things like this, for example, like a very easy one. Have you guys heard of burn economics, like burns in tokens?
No, this doesn't have anything to do with baseball, so.
It'll be like, as a transaction happens, you send $10, but only 9 of it gets there, and $1 just goes away. The tokens are less. So they started their project, they said 6 trillion tokens, and then they went, what the fuck is that number? So they decided to start burning them to make less tokens, to fix the like everything David just said. You just listed like 8 things to consider with tokenomics, and I've read a lot of white papers, and the tokenomics are like, it's going to go to founders and the community. And I'm like, but why? Why does it exist?
And how? Like, how much money do you need to be charging on each subscription in order to actually have those tokens coming back mean anything? Or are they just like a tiny
Are you saying you get some sort of
all balanced?
Would you get some sort of service for the token? Like, I'd actually get something, let's say it was a magazine. A new magazine company came out and had it said, hey, buy our token, you'll get our magazine.
Well, no, yeah, everyone in the Sakai metaverse will have to pay for the assets. Any transaction will have to be done in Sakai token. So if you were a company, let's say I'm going to hire a bunch of people from the Sakai metaverse, I need to hold a certain amount of Sakai on my balance for the year based on the projections of how much I'm going to pay them. So that's the utility token. And I also think this project is interesting, and I want to hold some of it so I can put proposals forward. So I'm going to have an amount in that I put aside as paychecks, essentially.
Investing based on belief. Sure.
So you've told it like all this makes sense, but now I know you're redoing the tokenomics for the project, like going from the theory of the use, and you have the B2B, like the use case that you could study of how this translates to metaverse for the cost. You can lay it out for the year and actually see, like, if we generate 10K or $1 million, what do stakers get? How does that break down into, we're going to make this many tokens and sell them or keep them or incentivize community? Like, how do you get from part A of the math to part C?
Yeah, exactly. And so essentially that's what the other co-founder of our company, Victor, is doing. And essentially he's looking at, you want to have a huge Excel spreadsheet with all the different factors coming in of what's going to affect price and different things. And then you run models, and you run, test it out, see, and then go get feedback. And then essentially really make sure that your tokenomics essentially are as supportive as possible of your community that is coming into your project, because the seed rounds should help get your project going, but in many cases of projects, they should not like essentially prey on the people who come in by dumping on them. So essentially you want to make sure there's enough liquidity early on the piece, which is why I mentioned burnonomics. Burnonomics are essentially a way to decrease liquidity, increase volatility, so you can pump things and then dump them or whatever.
But you're saying tokenomics based on use of the platform versus tokenomics based on, I think I can dump my share on people within the next 3 months.
Yeah, Treasury.
Yeah, because we actually have a real product, we can go out to places and be like, hey, this is how you would model this for equity in the real world. This is the same kind of thing, except the equity is going to be used as a token within the system. So it's actually better than equity because there are several more use cases and several more reasons for people to hold equity in this company. And so it actually takes tokenomics to what it's supposed to be, which is a generative aspect of the project, and people buying it for belief in the project, but also for actual use in the project. And that's the part that most people are missing in most tokenomics, is the actual use.
And it's like,
it was just assumed, and it never happens.
When they fixed Curve, for the Curve wars, you want to own Curve to vote on your pools that you also own. It just makes sense as a business to be involved with that if you're a large enough market maker to be on Curve.
Yeah, super smart.
And then their token doesn't move a whole lot because it's owned by people who just hold it because it generates fees like a dividend one. So it's not
Or if it
exciting,
dips, they
but
buy
it's
it,
gonna
or if it,
last. Like Curve,
stability is
barring any
everything.
crazy free pool shit. Curve fees.
So
and
it
stuff
sounds
work.
similar just to issuing equity, say in the form of a stock, although because you have to get through regulatory things to do that. It's just a faster way to do it.
Yes and no. I mean, there's a lot of
a modified version, I guess. Yeah.
Well,
because of the use
because it's a
case,
token and
you
an
can
NFT,
actually
you have a
use
lot
it.
more access. Like, right, as if you're holding something, you can then jump in and vote. Where none of us can actually vote with our stock shares we buy through Fidelity.
So it's active participation.
Or spend them in a metaverse.
Well, we do vote, but just by proxy.
But it would also be like we'll invest in random companies because they're good investments. If you're going to use this, and the same reason I don't own Curve, if I was involved in using the metaverse, I don't want to own the token. Like that's where it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's really about us trying to build it out as much as possible to be as sustainable as possible so that the token generation, the token feed, like the inflation is gradual, meets with actual users using the platform. So the tokenomics, it does stay as stable as possible, and then reflects as the company actually achieves those milestones.
Reflects the fees generated versus the hype.
Exactly.
All right. Speaking of hype, we better move on. We've got Tim Draper predicting that Bitcoin is going to hit $250,000 by next year. I think it's a 14,000% increase or something like that from its current price. Excuse me, 1,400% increase, which is crazy. But interestingly, first, if you do enough predictions, you'll be right at some point. He invested in Theranos, which wasn't a good one for him. But he's saying, and here's his quote, "My assumption is that since women control 80% of retail spending and only 1 in 7 Bitcoin wallets are currently held by women, the dam is about to break." So I guess the question here is crypto going to become a space for females, as we have 4 dudes here talking? It's basically a bunch of crypto bros just trying to, find identity and satisfaction in their life because maybe they've been sitting at home too much.
It's definitely a failing of our space for sure.
Yeah, women are definitely more like they're much more rational as all of us have women behind us to kind of keep us all together.
Also
so
true.
Are they actually going to jump into the space? It seems like a space that women really wouldn't want to be in just for personal reasons.
Well, Mike, you've done microloan financing for a while, and I'll let you talk about what that is in a second. But isn't most of that going to female-run entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think they give it all to women.
Wouldn't it be easier to do all of that with Bitcoin?
Potentially, but I mean that's not going to have it shoot to 250,000. But it'd be an interesting use case for sure.
Use case because if it's being held and used by thousands of women, even in small amounts, and I'm thinking of the microloans that you taught me about that you did to Africa. Nigeria just introduced a CBDC that they're going to monitor and tax, a limit on ATM withdrawals, and they already adopted Bitcoin.
Saw that.
And I'm thinking Nigerian innovation is massive. Education there is like it's really well educated compared to the economy and the opportunities. And if you know more about the microloan situation of the small entrepreneur, isn't like you should be selling me on Bitcoin with all of that knowledge, putting those pieces together, right?
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. I mean, what this is saying is going to go to 250,000 because the mainstream in the female, not just the microloan economy, which is so small.
Well, I'm just thinking one
versus the shopper. Yeah, I got you. So I guess the question is it ever are women really going to break into the space and it's going to shoot to 250, or are we just?
Oh, which question? I mean, it's definitely going to go to 250. Are women going to break into space? I also think yes.
Okay. Well, is that 250 dependent on that?
No. The 250 will be dependent on things like what Jeff said about Nigeria and stuff like that. Like people who cannot exit their country's economy need to buy something that they can put on a USB stick and hop on a plane.
Yeah. I mean, I think we'll talk about this in the Ledger story coming up later, but I think you're seeing a big movement now of like self-sovereignty and like just trust yourself, right? And so I think like a lot of people want to be unbanked right now, and this is a movement that's happening around the globe.
And something
I think do they want to be, or they are because they're poor?
They are, and we know because we've been around and we've all lived in multiple countries around the world. And for people who haven't, getting access to a bank, having $100 to put in it, just having a banking system that works. I mean, I had
Yeah.
access to the banking systems when I was in various countries, and it
Mhm.
just doesn't work. They don't transfer money between each other. They don't transfer money out. You can't get
Right.
hard currency. So if you're paid in a currency you know is going to be deflated, and you're forced to save in it, you're hoping to save some dollars, some gold, some Bitcoin.
Yeah.
If they're allowed, a lot of countries still ban it, like where I was in Tunisia. Right. What's your out? Because the government's going to screw you on your holdings of cash. And in a lot of these countries, if you're holding property, you're kind of waiting for the next military coup to take your property away.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
what
All
do
right,
you
we should probably
do?
move on. We only got about 5 minutes left to go. So, Jeff, you have Sushi Swap. Chief says DEX only has 1.5 years of Treasury runway left. And what does this mean by Treasury? When you say Treasury, what does that mean?
So
Tokenomics.
yes, we're talking about the tokenomics with Sushi Swap and Bitcoin. And so the Sushi Swap project is a DEX. They have which is a decentralized exchange to trade tokens on, and they have the Sushi token, which is their governance token. Unlike Uniswap, which is the same idea, token holders collected some of the fees and were paid for it. So same idea as Uniswap, different fee structure where a Uniswap holder gets to make governance
Mhm.
decisions, a SushiSwap holder makes governance decisions and collects fees.
Mhm.
More importantly, it costs them 5 to 9 million a year to run it. They have employees. They're a business. They're a business who has a token, and if the token is sharing fees and letting you make decisions, great. If there's a centralized business, I don't know what DAO decisions are being made. But if they don't raise the money, they go offline and goodbye to your sushi tokens. I wanted to compare that to right now Bitcoin, the mining keeps declining, the hash rate's going down. It doesn't really affect anything. It's not going to go out of business. So when you're looking at long-term projects, there isn't a company behind Bitcoin, there's many. So
Right.
if some miners go offline, others come on. And if miners go offline, the difficulty adjusts. It's almost
Right.
like they have, we're going to increase costs and you automatically get more users to help cover that.
Mm.
So as it gets too difficult and you can't afford to mine the Bitcoin, the network adjusts down,
I think, and real quick,
miners adjust, and it
I think
becomes.
we saw.
Oh, go
Oh,
ahead,
sorry, go
Nick. Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, here.
Just jumping in quickly, we saw the resilience of the Bitcoin network happen when the miners left China, and you
Mhm.
saw just like
Yeah.
when everyone thought it was over.
So
It
if that
just
was one
it
company, it
larger,
would blow
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And it's just to look at as you look at Treasury, which is the money they have in reserve. If that blows up for SushiSwap, they're dead. If the Treasury for Riot Mines or some of the other big miners blows up, which it is for some, I don't want to quote Riot. I don't know who's blowing up right now. If those big miners go away and their Treasury is zero and they lose millions, Bitcoin makes more blocks. Somebody else is going to mine it.
Yeah, it keeps
And who are
trying
you
on.
relying
Yeah.
on as you go year to year, especially through a bear market? If you have older coins, are your projects surviving because you're relying on a company? It's even though it is on ETH and it is decentralized, what's the state that they're in compared to the state of the resilience of the Bitcoin network?
Mm.
Yeah, that's a
That's
good
my whole
point. Just
question.
Very different ballgame. Yeah.
yeah, just a plug there to the way you know that and way you need to go and do that, your own research for projects, definitely do this, is go and check their Git book and make sure you can understand that they've been making commits recently. If they haven't, that's a problem.
So when
All
Dave
right,
says
but
Gitbook is you can upload code online and people can see that you're making changes to your protocol. So are people actively working on the protocol?
such as GitHub.
Mm.
Hey, all right, Nick, why don't you finish this off here? We got about 2 minutes left to go in the round. Ledger just launched a new hardware wallet for your NFTs.
Yeah,
So now we have a
it-
safe place to keep it.
That's right. You guys now have something you can get me for Christmas, and the
Ah,
shipping
nice.
is worldwide. It's going to cost you about $300, free shipping though. It doesn't drop till March, fortunately.
It's very pretty
It's
looking.
It is really pretty. It was designed by by an ex-Apple. I don't know if he's still with Apple or not, but it was designed by a man named Tony Fadell, the designer of the iPod.
Oh,
And there's a
interesting.
cool video
It
that
looks a little
we
bit like an
can.
iPad, yeah.
Oh, it's really neat. It's customizable on the front.
Does it show
It's
your NFT?
You can, yeah, you can make it like that.
Because
There's a
the headline is
Okay.
about NFTs. Like my
Let's see.
normal ledgers hold NFTs, but that's what I saw when I saw this one. Like the screen is showing it to you, right? Is that
Yeah.
their whole NFT
This makes a lot more sense. So the NFT people want this kind of look because that's their brain set.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh,
Like
Look at my
the video.
NFTs.
Yeah, I want it.
I want it. Like
I want to get
honestly,
this.
like
Hey,
Yeah, you have to get that.
watch
Don't
the
you?
video. Have a look at the video. We'll link it to, below, or maybe we can slice it in. But going back to that big movement about self-sovereignty and wanting to, not your keys, not your coins, not your have a hard wallet. We're seeing it over and over. The FTX scandal made us remember that, right? So I think Ledger's getting involved more thoroughly now, and they really, I mean, they have some clout now because they one of the quotes in here that I really liked is what they said that they've dealt with from the Ledger Nano series, which was my first one that I've ever owned. That we've created the most successful digital asset security hardware of all time, with more than 5 million sold and none ever hacked. Which is something to be mindful of in the midst of all these hacks, where every other week there's a rug or a hack, and we're getting used to it. Ledger's got a pretty good, reputation in this space.
And you also
So it's
talked
just
a
something
few
to
weeks
think
ago about the onboarding. You said the onboarding for NFTs brings you straight to hardware.
Yes.
And this is just another even better way to do it.
Oh yeah, wirelessly as well too. So it's going to be good. A big game changer coming out from Ledger.
All right, we'll have to wrap it up with that. We got about 3 seconds left to go. Gentlemen, it's been a great week to see you. We'll see where we're at next week.
See you
Thank you.
guys.
Bye guys.